Good question. At the top of the season, yeah, Rashad put it well. Every bit of Judd's purpose, as he knows it, has kind of gone out the window because it all started with Grace and the family that flowed out of Judd and Grace, and got Charlie, and um, but it's like she truly, truly is Judd's guiding light, and so you know, Judd's been busy doing things to get ready for Wyatt to help him kind of start this new life after his accident and everything. But once that's done, and once Wyatt is, I almost said back on his feet, but he's not back on his feet. When he's up and going, um, and recovered, uh, there's just no direction at all. There's no sense of where things could be or should be going, and he's out to sea, literally, just lost. Not well. And as the season goes on, you start to kind of see some of the, I would say, darker coping mechanisms rear their heads up a little bit. But at the beginning of the season, I think Rashad and Brad and Tim and I talked about, kind of planting seeds for things to happen later. Sorry, I'm just attacked by both my dogs. But but that but that before we get there, we wanted there to be some indicators that something was a little bit off, right? That between Grace being gone and not being a firefighter, there's just sort of this dead zone, and a guy that's usually been really driven, very clear about where he stands, what he's about. There's just this dead space, of this big question mark right in the middle of it, and even if we didn't address that directly, it seems with the dialogue, I talked to them about trying to just include it in the behavior of whatever we were doing, that there'd just be kind of a distance going on there, so that we'd have some place to go for the rest of the season. Rhymes with Jack Daniels. That's what I would say. Yeah, Judd turns to the bottle for a little while to see if there's any answers there. Yeah, I mean it's between each other, but because they're separated, there are problems between them that are concerning, that are legitimate, that would be, she goes off to try to help people, and the idea is that we're supposed to FaceTime every night and everything, and then she gets to a part of the world where there's no reception, and sometimes it'll be a month before we have any contact at all, and it just starts to erode on the relationship. It starts to take its toll over time. I think so. I think one of the things from season one that we talked about was, Judd being this big, tough firefighter, but with a really kind of low opinion of himself. Like doesn't have great self-esteem, doesn't take himself into consideration, doesn't take great care of himself, is sort of reckless and careless. And once he resigns, and he's looking over at who is at the 126, it's people that he admires, and he's not about to. And I think probably there's some hurt pride involved. It's not about to say, "Oh, never mind, let me reverse course. I was wrong. Let me back in." He's not going to do that. He's not going to ask for that, and he doesn't want to. Like you said, he doesn't want to take advantage of a friendship that's legitimate. And get a favor out of it. But I also think, like you said, had Owen just rolled up and said, "We're dying without you. We really need you," I think he'd be there in a heartbeat. Probably have to be convinced of his own value at the 126. That he'd probably have to realize that he does have something to offer there, and that maybe they do need him, and maybe he could even help keep people safe there. But short of that, Judd's gonna be trying his hand at other things. Yeah, trucking. Yeah, nobody to bother you, nobody to tell you what to do. They give you the orders, you get the truck, you go for 20 hours, right? And I think if I remember right, either in the first episode or one of the first couple, he says to Wyatt, like, this is twice what I was making as a firefighter. The money's good. I've got bills to pay now. You know, we don't have a dual income anymore because Grace is on this leave. I've got an injured kid. I've got a young child. So 2x on the money is a pretty good deal. And, you know, and trucking is another one of those jobs like firefighting that if somebody doesn't do it, society as we know it just doesn't function. It's an important job. And so, but, you know, I think over time you'll see Judd is a born firefighter. And if he's not doing that, a big part of him's missing. I mean, maybe Paul just off of being boys and like probably a little bit of bias, just more time spent hanging with Paul, more time in the locker room, more time in the weight room, you know, going and grabbing beers and stuff after work, probably just leaning towards the person he's closer with. And I think over the years, Paul and Judd have developed a nice, earnest friendship, and same with Marjan. But I think probably just, you know, there's not a ton of situations outside of work that Marjan and Judd can hang out, right? There's just not. So I would say over the years, probably a little bit of Paul's shine has worn off on me, and I'd probably lean towards Paul. What I can say is the next time you see Judd in the middle of a disaster, he won't have his firefighter gear on. He'll be in his civilian clothes. So one of the things that's kind of far out and funny is Marlene, Judd's son's mother, played by Robin Lively, comes around and thinks that she has a solution to help out Owen. Owen decides to adopt a horse, and he is in over his. She steps in as a trainer, and she commits to helping him kind of work out being a good horse owner. And almost the way people have chaperones on dates, Judd sort of accompanies them through this series of encounters where she's teaching him about the secret understanding of horses and the deep knowing of horses. And this one particular horse, she thinks, kind of knows some detail about Owen's past that might be a little sordid or a little questionable. And Judd's basically like a chaperone at a school dance for this back and forth for a couple episodes with those two. And then as the season kind of progresses, it gets a little more consequential, and Judd develops a problem with alcohol and alcoholism and wrestles with that to get sober and stay sober, which was really, you know, that's an important story to tell, and I really enjoyed it. The last probably 4 episodes we start touching on that stuff, and that was my favorite part of the season, was digging in deep to that stuff. Owen Strand. I think something that's awesome is, like, if you think back to the pilot of the show, Owen and Judd were almost adversaries, right? Because the 126, I would say for a moment they were adversaries, but the 126 had been decimated by this accident, and Judd was the only survivor, and Owen was coming in with brand new ideas on just about everything, including maybe there's no place for you here, towards Judd. And the conflict wasn't long, but it was pretty intense. And by the end of it, once they kind of shook hands and said, let's work together, that hatchet got buried and it never got dug up. But you get to see how far and how deep that relationship has gotten over the years. Over the course of these 5 seasons, they go from strangers that were at each other's throats to truly like brothers. Just there's things that Owen does for Judd that if he didn't do them for Judd, no one would do them for Judd, and Judd would probably not make it. Owen steps up in a really big way, and in a really personal way, and it's a nice testimony to what a good job the writers did over the years of kind of letting that friendship grow and become its own thing. That was difficult too, because whether it was well-meaning people or bad information or whatever, there was sort of this sense that maybe it was the last season and maybe it was not, right up until our very last couple of days of shooting. When I heard November of last year that instead of coming back for the 22 episodes we had talked about potentially coming back for, that we were coming back for 12 episodes, and then that would be it. My first thought was just to, as quickly as I could, accept that, because we were having so much fun. The group got very close and very tight, and I just thought, well, it's Disney's show and it's Fox's show, and if that's what they want, it's theirs. There's nobody else's to say what the fate of it is. I have a feeling our audience is going to have some suggestions for what they hope somebody will do, because I don't think it's easy to, and Disney and Fox accomplished this thing that I'm about to say. I don't think it's easy to find 10 million pairs of eyeballs a week for your show. I don't think it's easy to find 10 million pairs of eyeballs a week for your network television show, where the cost of launching an enterprise has long been paid, and now it's just the production of each episode, right? There's that saying, it's not a saying, but that principle of like something like 80% of all the fuel used for a rocket launch is used to get it off the ground, just, to get it off the first mile or so. And I imagine that launching a network series is something like that, where it's top heavy in terms of the resource expenditure. So they've already done that. They've already paid for it. They've already gone and found the 10 million pairs of eyeballs to take a look at it. Somewhere in the middle of that, Fox and Disney decided that wasn't worth the cost. But it's theirs. It's theirs to do whatever they want with. So I just accepted it. I tried to cherish the moments with my co-stars and our incredible crew more, and started thinking about the kinds of things I want to do next. And that was kind of the extent of my response to it all. What I will say is the series ends in a way that honors the way people that seem so different, like this show was deliberately diverse in its construct, right? It was people that it was created to be a dynamic between people that wouldn't normally mix and mingle, coming together over what they did have in common, which is their commitment to service and their love for one another. That I think is the heart of the show. That's what works about the show best. Is just these diverse lives and backgrounds coming together and working together singularly and coming to really love each other. And the show ends in a way that I think consummates that love, that is faithful to that. And I think the 126 is useful to other people and to the city they serve right up to the very end. And for Judd, there's kind of a surprising but inevitable step up in the ranks of what it is to be a firefighter. There's a new position for him at the end of the season. The way I'll remember the show is my wonderful castmates and I sitting in a horseshoe-shaped lineup of chairs for hours and hours and hours, just talking and laughing for 5 years straight. like shoulder to shoulder, coffees in hand, all day long, joking, laughing, cracking each other up. If somebody was having a tough day, everybody would really tune in and be there for them. When I think of the show, and I think in the future, when I remember the show, I remember those people. I remember just the way we very quickly came to love each other and care about each other and the good time we had. When I think about Judd and Grace's relationship, I think it's the kind of relationship that offers me something to aim for in my own life. It's sacrificial love by its nature. You know, they were both forever kind of putting themselves second and honoring and serving each other. And you know, you see that from time to time in life, and you see it from time to time in motion pictures and television. But I think Sierra and I, from the very beginning, just made a commitment to try to make it as truthful as possible. And I couldn't have asked for a better dance partner over the years than her. She's one of my very favorite actors. I think she's one of the best young actors in the business, full stop. She's so honest. She's so full of soul. And she's just sharp, man. She's so good. And I think we left a love story that people can relate to and get behind. And for Judd, it's just been, I'm from Texas. I moved back to Texas. That was one of the things I did as soon as I heard the show was I said, goodbye, California. I'm in Texas right now. I got to play as a little kid that grew up, you know, with plastic 6-shooters and firefighter trucks and everything else. I got to play a cowboy firefighter with, you know, in Texas, and got to be kind of this quintessential modern Texas guy. And it was just a treat. It was, some of the things I got to act were as challenging and as, I would say, well constructed as anything I've ever gotten to act outside of the theater. And it's absolutely been one of my favorite parts. I've got, I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, right up there.
Oh, nice.
So he'll never be too far. Yeah, he'll never be too far away. I'm just, that part was a real gift, and I've taken every opportunity I can to tell Tim Minear and Rashad, thank you for this part over the years. It's been a real gift. I have had thoughts of, like, you know, if something happened with Grace where she doesn't come back or she meets somebody she likes better, you know, Charlie might want to see what the West Coast is all about. Judd might have a new and open mind, and you never know. I'd be down for that. I like those guys over there. You know, I like that. We did a couple crossovers with those people, and we always had a good time anytime we did anything with them. So, you know, if my phone rings, I'll pick it up.